Well, a week after President Obama calls for more civility in Washington, Congressman Steve Cohen, a Democrat from Tennessee, had these words for Republicans trying to repeal the health care law.
They say it's a government takeover of health care. A big lie, just like Goebbels. You say it enough, you repeat the lie, you repeat the lie, you repeat the lie, and eventually people believe it. Like blood libel. That's the same kind of thing. The Germans said enough about the Jews, and the people believed it, and you had the Holocaust. You tell a lie over and over again, and we've heard it on this floor. Government takeover of health care.
Well, Richard Socarides is a Democratic strategist and former special assistant to President Clinton. Okay, Richard, so apparently the congressman did not get the memo from President Obama, and now many are calling for him to apologize. He has not yet apologized. What he said initially to the Washington Post was, there's no reason to apologize. There was a duty to respond. I was saying lies are wrong, not trying to compare Republicans to Nazis. And then he goes on to say, and this is a quote, according to the Washington Post, I don't know who got everybody's panties in a wad over this statement. This is a U.S. congressman. Then he comes out in the wake of more criticism, Richard, yesterday and says, while I regret that anything I said has created an opportunity to distract from the debate about health care for 32 million Americans, I want to be clear that I never called Republicans Nazis, and goes on from there. But still no apology, so does he owe one?
Well, I think clearly his comments were out of line, but I think this afternoon, he has apologized. I mean, I saw some stuff just before I went on in which he clearly indicated that he regretted what he said, and it was unfortunate. But
I read his statement. We just got it from his office. Now it's 1, 2, 3, 4 long paragraphs, so I'm not going to read the whole thing on the air. But I looked for the words, I'm sorry. What I see is, I regret that anything I said created an opportunity to distract from the debate, but I didn't call Republicans Nazis. And then he went on to say he wouldn't do anything to diminish the horror of the Holocaust. But I don't see anything other than how disappointed he is that he believes his comments have been used to distract from the health care reform debate.
I think that if you say you regret making the comments, that's a pretty full apology.
He didn't say that. I regret anything I said created an opportunity to distract from the debate.
Well, the use of the word regret I'm taking as his apology. I mean, clearly what he said was not appropriate, but I think that today the focus on this is really an effort to try to distract us from the fact that we had this debate yesterday, and I don't really know what the Republicans want to go back to. I mean, the American public clearly wants to give this a choice now. Give this a chance now to succeed.
This isn't a segment about the health care law. We've done that, right? Okay. We had that yesterday. I mean, this is about the civility call from our president and whether this Megyn, Democratic representative is heeding it or should heed it.
Listen, I think it was unfortunate what he said, and he has apologized. But if we want to get into who's heeding this and who's overheating this, I mean, you know, every night on the very network that we're on right now, the leading commentators on this network use this kind of language. So let's you and I get together right now and say that there's, well, that is true. I mean, listen, you know, people can be the judge of it. Maybe you and I don't watch it.
I don't know if you sit and watch our programming every night, but I watch it every day, and you're wrong.
Well, we can debate individual instances of this, but the whole idea of making these Nazi references to the political discourse that we're having right now is ridiculous. I mean, nobody should be using this stuff, and whenever we see it, we should condemn it. So let's you know, you and I, we are able to agree on most things. So I think we should agree on this, that there's no place for this in Congress, and there's certainly no place for it on cable news. I mean, you don't do it on your show. I don't think anybody on this network.
I don't, but I will say I don't think you can compare cable news to a U.S. congressman in the well of the House, Richard. You know, I mean, it was the president of the United States. I don't think the president
should there be a higher standard?
Well, I don't think the I mean, you tell me. I don't know if the president meant to speak to the entire nation, including, you know, cable and radio and everybody. But I'm sure he meant to speak to our lawmakers about elevating the level of debate. And it just seems that when you've got the Anti-Defamation League coming out and calling on him to apologize or criticizing him, you've got all sorts of Jewish groups coming out and saying how offensive they found this. I don't understand why he wouldn't just say,
Megyn, please,
I shouldn't have done that. I'm sorry.
Well, saying that he regrets saying it is a good enough apology for me, and I think he has apologized and he does regret saying this. But I think that everybody who uses this kind of language should be called out on it. whether it's in Congress or whether it's on television. We don't use that kind of rhetoric. And I think that, we all need to take a stand now against this. Now, 50 years ago today, John F. Kennedy gave that speech, that famous inaugural speech, where he asked Americans to come together and pointed out that there was nothing wrong with being civil in our discourse. Today is a day we ought to be renewing that pledge as Americans rather than trying to focus on this. I mean, this clip that is being played over and over again today on the news, I mean, it's really kind of ridiculous. I mean, the man has apologized. He misspoke. I think we can move on. But I think whenever we see this kind of thing,
that's the problem, Richard. If he had apologized, I think we would be moving on. But what he told the Washington Post, Richard, was there's no reason to apologize. I had a duty to respond. And then the next day did not come out and say he was sorry.
Megyn, this is one guy. This is one guy who said something he shouldn't have said. But every night we see this on cable TV.
Oh, yeah, there you go. You already made that argument. You made that argument. Listen, I'll let the viewers decide for themselves whether you have that right.
We should, but you and I should both be firmly against this, and I think we are.
I'm an anchor. I don't take positions on that, Richard. But I'll tell you, I think that your criticisms are out of line, and I have to tell you, I think there's a difference between television and radio personalities and a U.S. congressman on the House floor. But I'll leave it to the viewers to decide. I got to go. Richard, thank you.
Thank you.
We're taking your thoughts on it now at Kelly@foxnews.com.